Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Good morning, Bill.
I gotta steal it because I have to tell you, I thought of this a year ago, and I had a conversation with my wife about this, and I feel like I got robbed. I was betrayed by the media, and I should have spoken up, but I didn't. I wimped out, and I didn't. And here I am right now on this podcast thinking about how I got betrayed by our society. I said to my wife over a year ago, I said, wouldn't it be something if we got into the 20s, just like the 1920s, and it was a roaring boom, the roaring 20s? Wouldn't it be absolutely cool if we went into the roaring 20s next year?
Wow.
And she said, that's such a neat concept. And now I see it everywhere. We're in the roaring 20s. They stole my name. Oh my God.
I was wondering where you're going with this, but I totally follow you now.
Episode number 181 is the beginning of 2020. Woo-hoo!
How did we get here?
Time.
Man,
Time changes everything.
You remember 2000?
No, I don't want to think of that.
Oh, no, 20 years
Episode number 181, Irrevocable. What does that mean?
You can't take it away.
Irrevocable. New Year's goals are for losers. Uh-oh. Yeah, but this is a little bit different than last year, Peter. We have a lot more data, and it's a little bit more playful.
And we have more evidence?
We have more evidence. Okay, here we go. So, New Year's goals are for losers. Does that sound controversial? Hell yeah. Hear me out, though. As a human, you likely have certain tendencies. Chances are you have habits. No, I didn't know this, Pete.
I'm back at human. I'm offended. You called me a human? I'm offended.
And habits are hard to break and can be stressful. How am I doing so far? Plus, habits die hard, Peter. Especially for you, I've noticed.
Boy, I know you know where you're going, but please get me there, because right now you're dragging us through the mud.
In most cases, it is unavoidable to go against your natural human behaviors. Logically, you could be telling yourself enough is enough. We all do it. But emotionally, you are a human and like what you like, right? Absolutely. So when we make our goals, they are usually following logic. But we soon find out that this system isn't designed for humans. Because most of us aren't wired that way.
Yeah, we're not Spock.
Exactly. That's exactly the example.
Not Spock.
I was going to use that example, but I decided it was going to take too long.
No, that's all you got to say. It's it. We're done. If you don't know that, go away.
So here we go. It's like you imagined you can fly if you simply flap your arms and then go get encouraged to jump off of the nearest cliff. That's right.
Yeah, why not?
Just flap your arms and you will not only survive, but you'll soar.
Yeah, I know a few guys in the 60s that tried that. It didn't work out so hot.
If your goals don't have a specific environment that's, conducive for the goals and designed for us humans, it's like asking you to flap your arms harder and harder and harder until you take off. This podcast is for humans who want real estate investing planning to be easy and workable. No flapping your arms or jumping off cliffs during the podcast, please.
Not allowed?
No.
All right.
Okay?
Killjoy.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think so.
Here we go.
I feel like I'm starting to come out of the mud.
Why the hell is success consistently defined by applying the supersize me principle in business? This is my epiphany after 2019.
Yeah.
Why the hell is success constantly defined by applying the supersize me principle to your business?
More is better.
Exactly. That's what we're taught.
If you have more of everything, you'll have more of everything.
Exactly. That's what we're taught.
But everything isn't always good.
Does more revenue mean you are successful? Growth is the battle cry of nearly every entrepreneur and real estate guru. Bigger deals, bigger investors, bigger time commitments, but to what end? For me, this meant bigger problems. And more important, it didn't guarantee bigger profits or more residual profits. It seemed like to me, the more zeros I added to my sales, the higher chance of it being zero underneath the bottom line.
Oh, no.
Yeah, every time. And I've done that with 3 businesses, and all 3 businesses, it went that way. You know, I had a gas station. I started off pumping 500 gallons of fuel the first month. And when I got done, that gas station, between the repairs and the auto sales and the gasoline I pumped, by the time I got done, when I stopped doing it and turned it over to somebody else, I was doing 140,000 gallons a month.
Jesus.
Okay. I was doing $7 or $8 million a year. I was better off at the 500 gallons a month than I was at the $7 million or $8 million a year. Okay?
Crap.
And it's for a reason. Okay. Same thing with the houses. My partner and I, we had 23 or 20, I think it was 28 houses. You know, we're having lunch one day and we're looking at his portfolio, and he's got like 3 commercial buildings making $150,000, $160,000 a year monthly cash flow.
Yeah.
And him and I have these 20 something houses, and we would swing $2,000 to $4,000 a month, plus or minus.
Eek.
It's like we got all these houses and I had all this equity, and it was like, for what?
Yeah.
I had to work, still had to work every month.
Yep.
Right? Valuable lesson.
Did it look good on paper?
Didn't even look good on paper. No.
Not even crap.
No.
Yeah.
So it got me more work. More humans around me messing things up. And bigger, get that, bigger residual payments, not cash flow, payments that I was stuck with whether I had the revenue or not.
Yeah.
That's what it got me.
Yeah.
After the dust settled by losing it all, because I did twice, here's what I found. Profit goes first in every deal.
Does it or should it?
No. Profit goes first in every deal.
When you say goes, you mean comes in or goes out the window?
Profit goes first.
Okay.
Why do you look confused? It's a mathematical formula, right?
Yeah.
So most accountants say sales minus expenses equals profit.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're doing sales minus profit equals expenses.
So you're doing it the other way around.
First. So if you want to get a whole education on this, you can read a book. I'll get to that in a minute. It's Michael something. It's called Profit First.
McCloskey?
McCloskey, I think. So before we get to the goals, let me explain this profit thing.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is important. And it helps us with our human goals.
But when you said that was right after like your example of things not going well. So you weren't using that then, right?
No.
That wasn't what made that happen. That's why.
That's the lesson.
When you segue to think, wait a minute. Yeah. So you weren't doing that then.
The lesson then was I thought I was cool because I had all this equity and I was a multimillionaire. Yeah. And I could say I was a multimillionaire, but I couldn't buy my way out of a McDonald's paper bag.
That's not uncommon, is it?
No.
For businesses.
No. So You ready?
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to shout, okay? Because this is the best part of the podcast. You ready?
Go for it.
Cash flow is king. End of story.
I'm with you, brother.
Cash flow is king. Profits are for the accountants to report them to the government so they know what to charge you for taxes.
Yeah, that's on paper.
And no offense against accountants, but they're like the interrogation officers for the tax man. That's what they are. The only thing they do is they make sure that your numbers are in place so that you're fairly being charged taxes, but you're paying taxes, right? Equity is like boxing a shadow. You can see it in your deals, but you can't do much with it until it's cash.
Yep.
Okay?
Oh.
So if your deal isn't producing cash as soon as you start, run like hell.
Yeah, because that equity is a promise. It's not a guarantee.
Right.
Right?
Promise to appear.
Yeah. Skipped.
Right. As we used to say in the car business, it's on the come.
Oh, it's coming?
Yeah, it's on the come. In other words, maybe someday, possibly.
Never heard that little idiom.
Yeah, it's
on the come.
On the come, yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why we used it is because we would do subprime lending, and we would not get all the money, and the equity or the profit was on the come. In other words, it was coming with the payments.
Yeah.
Right. Sounds a little provocative, but that's what we said. That's why we use the formula, Peter, the most magical formula that seems too simple, and most people don't think of it, especially my coaching clients, when they do deals: money now, money monthly, money later, as the final equation in doing a deal. So it's not a mathematical equation. It's actually the human side of the math.
Yeah, because you don't care what it looks like on a piece of paper. You want some cash in your pocket.
Right.
You want some more cash to show up. You want some later. You want cash.
Right. So Michael speaks in his Profit First book, right? He talks about how your habits of an entrepreneur, how most people's accounting system is bank balance accounting.
Oh.
Which, if done correctly, is a great way to do it, but you have to set up your accounts and you have to humanize your math and your accounts so that you can continue to use your habits to manage your money. But if you use the accountant's way of doing it, they clash and you end up with money gone that you don't know about, or you spend money that you shouldn't spend, and blah, 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 because it's not, the bank accounts and the math is not humanized. So in deal structuring, we need to humanize the deals, right? I'm going to give you a classic example. I will stand up on stage, or I will speak on this podcast, and I'll tell you about the 7 ways that we buy and sell houses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that if you ask what they're, if you take what they're asking and you subtract what they owe, you get a loan to value ratio, which is the equity. So if you're going to talk to your seller, make sure you talk to them about the equity. Right.
Right.
So let's just say the seller wants, they owe 160 and they want 190. What's the difference? 30,000. That's the equity, aka the profit.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I speak to a seller and they're willing to sell me for 160, what do I have for profit? A potential profit.
30.
Right. If I speak to the seller and they want 190, what's my potential profit?
0.
So see the difference. So the 160 and 190 is the math, but then we enter into it the human factor, right? Because the human is going to, and it sounds so weird that I'm using the word human, but it's true. It's like the raw truth. It's like the human is going to sign the document and release the control or the deed to you. So the math is great. It all works. You go to the seller with all these ideas, and everything is phenomenal until you sit in front of the guy and he's like, no, I won't sell for less 190.
Yeah. It looks good when you're home doing the math. Oh, I'll do this. Yeah, maybe he won't.
And so many of my coaching clients do exactly what you're saying. They're like, oh, I'm going to go buy it for subject to. Oh, did you talk to the seller yet? No. Okay, so you don't know what you're going to buy it for until you get the human side of the math.
Yeah. He doesn't want to do that.
Right?
Yeah.
I was calling it the willingness. What are they willing to do?
Right.
It's really the human side, because if you think about it, the math is the logic, and is the 1, 2, 3 equals, right? And the human side of it is the emotions.
Right.
So you have logic and emotions, and we all know that most humans, when they make a decision, will make the decision on their emotions, how they feel, and then back it up with the logic.
Right.
So why don't we structure our deals that way more often?
Because the emotional thing for us is logically to make the money in our pocket and do what we want to do, but that has nothing to do with the guy.
So as you know, in 2020, I'm definitely claiming the Roaring 20s as my. I'm not saying I just know a year ago, before anybody else said it, I was saying it.
Really?
I was.
You calling it the Roaring?
I was calling it the Roaring 20s because I told my wife, imagine what it would be like if the 1920s and the 2020s, if we cyclically did it again.
Yeah.
And I was excited because I kept telling her, I'm ramping up. I'm getting ready. I'm ramping up. So all of this, I'm going to expand in 2020, just didn't come about. I mean, it came about last year, and I have been thinking about it for some time. And I fully, totally, absolutely, definitely, without any question, am going to expand.
Oh, I'm sure of it too. You know why? I read my horoscope.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, the first half defined me exactly, and the second half said I was going to have a great year. So I'm buying it. I'm in.
So our business is going to run off of your horoscope, Peter?
No, I'm just agreeing with you, Bill. No, I've been watching the news too.
Emma, you got to look up my horoscope.
Hey, if yours says good and mine says good.
I didn't look it up on my birthday either. I usually look up my horoscope on my birthday. I forgot to do that.
Hey, let's look it up, see how it was, and find out how your birthday was.
Here's my point.
Yeah.
Because I have full, in other words, the ships have landed, my armies are on the beach, and I've turned to them and said, burn the ships. We're going to die by the sword, or we're going to win the battle. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm on the beach, and I'm heading for the mountains, where the enemy is. And part of my program is that I fully expect to take partners on around the country and start doing real estate in other places other than this godforsaken, penny-pitching, tax-sucking Connecticut for these liberal bastards that are charging us. And I have no mixed words there, because I just heard on the news some of the things that he's trying to do right now, and it is pitiful. It is petty and pitiful. I don't have anything nice to say about it. And I'm not even like a Republican. It's just stupid.
Doesn't make sense. I mean,
the amount of taxes that we pay in Connecticut is brutal.
You know, it's like what you're trying to talk about, because I'm reading the book too. It's when, you just keep racking up bills and buying more stuff, and then you keep borrowing to fix it.
Right.
That's idiotic.
Right.
It's idiotic.
So I'm going to expand. So there has to be some changes to the expansion. Because what is expansion? Let's just say we were in New York City, and my entire world ran on a New York City block. In other words, everything I needed was on that block.
Well, that's about how it is.
Right? So everything I need, I don't have to go any further than those four corners.
Yep. Everything's there. Bars, food, restaurant, clothes, lawyers.
All of a sudden, I decide I want 3 blocks instead of 2. The first thing that's going to happen is when I go off into those other 2 blocks, there's going to be uncharted territory there, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be things that I'm not used to, right? Sure. So what's going to happen when I first expand? Confusion and all kinds of weird things are going to happen because I'm not familiar with those other 2 blocks, right? So it's going to seem like at first it's a problem, like I shouldn't have expanded. Oh, this is wrong because all these things are popping up and all these problems from those other neighborhoods are popping up just because I'm not used to them. So the thing to do is to get used to those other neighborhoods and go explore and find out and be willing to have things blow up. Admire them because you're like, oh my God, use Think and Grow Rich, the chapter, Napoleon Hill, the chapter on gratitude. Go read it. You can get it online. You can get that book online for free now. It's a PDF.
Wow.
Go read gratitude. Go read that chapter, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Appreciate the fact that those 2 blocks, when you took them on, that new territory right, is uncharted, and it's giving you a hard time. Appreciate that, because it's allowing you to spread out and expand. It's allowing you to take in those, your circumference is bigger. So when you expand, expect confusion, expect noise, expect problems. What you need to do is expect to get through them quickly. And I'm at that point right now. So things have to change. And the reason why I'm on this rant is because one of the things that has to change is when we equate our deals, the profit goes first. The apartment buildings have taught me this.
Mm-hmm.
Evaluating the apartments in the software we use, right?
Yeah.
Which we use software from Dave Lindahl, which is a spreadsheet that we bought and paid a lot of money for.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get deals? Tell me, how do we get deals?
How do we get deals?
Yeah.
Well, we look for apartment buildings.
No.
What?
In the math.
Oh, in the math?
How do we get deals?
Well, we structure so that we know that there's money coming from
three numbers. What are the three numbers?
Well, it has to have a cap rate, a capitalization rate that's in, meaning when you put money in.
How long will it take to pay it back?
How long, you'll get some of that capital back. You get some of that capital back. It won't take forever.
How long, the percentage of profit, how long will it take to pay back the capital? That's cap rate.
Right. And it's nice to have it back within 10 years, roughly. That's one of them.
Yeah. Second one is cash on cash.
Right. You put a certain amount of cash in.
What's your percentage of return?
Yeah, how much you're going to get back. And it's not like how much the thing costs. It's like how much you put in. Right. If you put a little bit in and you get some back, that's awesome. You put a lot in, you expect to get a lot back.
Right. And the third number is?
I forget.
1.6.
Oh, the debt ratio.
So
you have a debt that you have like it's on a credit card. You have a certain amount that you're paying back, and that's compared to how much is coming in. Are you paying $100,000 back and you're only getting $100,000 in?
So let me help you explain it really easy. It's the debt utilization.
Mm-hmm.
It's how are you utilizing the debt. It's a ratio of the debt to the capital.
Mm-hmm.
So if you balance that ratio, you know that you have enough money to pay all the bills.
Right.
So if you do those three numbers. So what are those three numbers? Those three numbers are all the profit.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So how do we get those deals? How do you buy a $15 million 100-unit apartment building in, Jabru?
Yeah.
You put those three numbers in place, and then what does it attract?
Well, if the numbers are good, then the people want to be part of that because it looks
so the
good.
banks and the private lenders will draw to that. That's why I say all the time, money follows deals.
Yeah.
So this is where I've learned this is if you structure the deal to have profit first, everything else follows.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to start talking about that a lot more because that's like a switch I do it. I just have never named it. And when I saw those words, I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing that. So I'm giving Michael his credit. He's talking about businesses. I'm talking about applying it to real estate. He's not talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're doing our deals, what does it say? What is the formula? Money now.
That's right.
What does that mean?
That's profit now.
Profit now.
Money in your pocket.
Money monthly. What does that mean?
That's profit coming in every month.
And money later. What does that mean?
A nice fat check in a year or two or three.
Right. Okay. So
all profit.
So it's all profit.
Yeah, it exactly isn't right. Equity, and then if it appreciates, and if if the economy doesn't, if the economy does, it's none of that.
Right. So, like I said, in Mike, how do you say
McCloskey?
McCloskey. It's MICHALOWICZ. Could you put that in the Facebook chat for me, please? I should have told you to do that.
Yeah, I didn't pronounce it right. Let me see it.
MICKEY. No, not KEY.
McAllowitz.
Okay.
That's my guess.
So it's MICHOLOWICZ. Just go into Google, into Amazon, and put Profits First. It's an amazing book. Okay.
People have talked about pay yourself first.
Yeah.
I think that's like as a person,
right,
on an individual level. This is ramping it to a business atmosphere, right?
Yep. So what he's talking about is he says sales minus expenses, which is your normal accounting system, equals profit.
Yeah.
What he's done is, and he does an unbelievable, beautiful job of explaining how he came to this conclusion. It's absolutely Einstein genius. Okay, so kudos to Michael. Thank you for writing the book. Okay, he says sales minus profit equal expenses. Now, think of it this way. I'm not going to get into the whole philosophy because we're not here for that, but think of it this way. No matter what, in every adult's life, they always manage to have clothes, always manage to have food, and they always manage to know where to go to the bathroom, where to find a toilet, right? There's certain things in your life that you just cannot do without, right? You always have to have water, right? And so the point is that if you use this formula, sales minus profit equal expenses, necessity level alone will force you to either raise the sales or cut the expenses. So if you take the profit out of your account or out of the deal, it'll force you, human nature will just force you to figure out the expenses. So if you're doing deal structuring, right, and you take the profit out first and the math doesn't work on the rest of the deal, then why do the deal? Right? Instead of getting into the deal and a year later after you're doing all this work, realize there's no profit. Why do that? Okay? So enough on that because I could go the rest of the podcast just talking about that, which we may do. But so if you do your deals this way, you'll start to recognize things much quicker.
Yeah, there's a corollary to that I think we've all seen. If you make $100 a week, you spend $100.
Right.
You make $1,000 a week, you spend $1,000.
Right.
10,000, you spend 10,000. Why? Because that's what you have. Right. And it's never enough because you never think of the things that you should have thought of that happen, and you always wind up short if you're not careful.
Right. And Michael talks about it with food. Plates of food. Like 10 years ago, the average plate size was 9 inches. Now it's like 11 inches.
That's right.
And we ingest, 300 to 500 more calories a day just because of the size of the plate.
Yeah.
It's a study that was done.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, let's get back to our goals. Okay. Enough of that. You got what I'm saying? This entire podcast is around that. That's like the epicenter of this whole goals thing, right? Because the only reason why we would make goals is because we want to better our life.
Sure.
Okay, that's the only reason why we want to do that. Or we want to remove the pain from our life. Either way, you're bettering yourself.
Yeah.
So either you want to, make an extra $100,000 this year just because you said you wanted it. You want just because you wanted to say you can do it, or you can say I want to replace my $100,000 a year income. Either way, it's going that way, right? So here's what I think you need to do. So making goals is one thing, but if you don't have a system or have the surrounding environment backing up the goals, then sooner or later it won't last. Okay? It's kind of like you put a fish in a bowl, and how big will the fish get?
Yeah.
Right?
No bigger than the bowl.
And if you get a bigger fish bowl, how bigger will the fish get? Right? I mean, I've seen goldfish, and they call them koi when they get bigger. Yeah. In my father-in-law's pond out back that he put like baby goldfish in there, really? And a year or two later, they're like a foot, 2 feet long.
Those are the same little. I thought it was a different breed.
No,
it's the same thing.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
I'll maybe that I don't know. I've just seen it.
Yeah.
Because I watched them put them in there, and then 2 years later they're like.
Well, we know it's true for trees like bonsais. We know that. So
right.
We've seen that one.
So this is the same with your goals, right? But they have to be in the right environment, otherwise they won't grow. Just like the fish or the bonsai tree or anything like that, right? Yeah. So I'm going to rattle through these 5 things that I want to talk about today, and then we're going to spend the rest of the show talking about those 5 things. Okay?
All right.
So number 1, we're talking about the goals now. Get them out of your head, right? Of course, write them down, and we're going to talk about why. But more important, you got to implement them. Okay? So they have to get into the physical universe.
Yeah.
Okay? That's where the environment matters. Because if you put a goal in the wrong environment, the environment could attack the goal or help it grow. Just like the fish or the bonsai trees.
Right.
Okay. Number 2, make them stretchingly realistic, not outrageous. Number 3, most important, they have to be simple so they stick. In other words, the system has to be simple in the way you implement. The goals don't have to be simple. but the way you implement them have to be simple.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to really like when I talk about that, because that I love simple.
Yeah.
Keep
Hell
it
yeah.
simple, stupid, right? KISS system, right?
Yeah.
And we're humans. We like simple. Most of us. Okay. Number 4, you only manage what you measure.
Mm.
So make sure you measure the right stuff. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Statistics.
Yeah. Number 5, they fit into your life without much effort. The goal.
That would be good.
Yeah. All right. Now let's spend a little time on each one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How we doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm tracking. I'm not too far out of space here.
It seems practical.
Yep. Good. All right. Getting your ideas and goals out of your head so that you have a chance for implementation. So the implementation is a big issue, because the only reason why something doesn't get implemented is because of fear. So it's cause and effect.
Mm.
So if you throw a stone, some people will be like, wow, look how far I threw that stone. Look how wonderful. Look what it did for me. And then some people might be like, I hit a rabbit and killed it. Right? So it's all viewpoint. It's all a matter of how you think that stone's going to land or where it's going to go. Right?
Okay.
So implementation is 99. The lack of implementation is 99% fear. Now, you may think that lack of implementation might be resources. But believe me, when you have a passion and a basic purpose that is burning a hole in your chest, not your mind, in your chest, that passion, that emotional drive, you will figure out your resources, right? This is why I tell a lot of newbie real estate investors, go find a deal first. Because when you get passionate about it, you figure out ways to do it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So when you know what makes you tick, it gives you an advantage to subdue the biggest competitor. You.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if you are fearful of talking to sellers, then go to, I'm going to do this on the QT here. Go to Ask Sunday, AskSunday.com. They are personal assistants. They're VAs, virtual assistants.
Mm-hmm.
For like $30 a month, you can buy a VA to like do 1 or 2 hours of phone calls a day for you. They have accents, but it will work.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Point is that you know how you hire an assistant. You know what to tell an assistant to do. There's a major factor on giving an assistant actual tasks to do. Do you know how you find those tasks?
I'm going to guess the things that you never get around to.
Right. So if you have things on your battle plan and they don't get done, day after day, week after week, or the things that you hate to do, write them down. And those become the virtual assistant's tasks because somebody else will love to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if all my point is that if you when you know what makes you tick, that's the key there. So the things that don't make you tick, outsource it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You can find children and relatives to get you started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be expensive. Also, there's a thing called Parkinsons Law. Did you ever hear that?
No.
Okay. So Parkinsons Law was published in 1955, and it's called The Economist, was what it was published. Okay, so it's like a research paper of scientific research, okay, on the economy, right? And what he says there is work expands. So I'm going to just read what it is because these are his words.
Yeah.
Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion.
Yeah. So the more time you have, the more the work expands into it.
So if I have 10 tasks and I have 1 hour, then how long is it going to take me to do those 10 tasks?
Roughly 6 minutes apiece.
Right?
Yeah.
If I have 10 tasks and I've got 10 hours, how long will it take me to do those tasks?
Yeah, longer each. Yeah.
So this means to me, if I wait till the last, and this is a little bit of a joke, but if I wait till the last minute to do a job, that means it only takes me a minute.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Or better yet, work contracts to the time we give it. Right? So we have to be very, very clear on our objective for the bigger life. So we're expanding our life, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to be very clear on those objectives. So when we're making our goals, we have to be very clear on what we want.
Yeah.
And the clearer that picture is in your mind, the easier it is to hit the target.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And did you put the book in Facebook? Okay, so Emma if you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies on Facebook, you can find this video. If you click on the left side, it says videos, or if you're watching us right now, Emma actually put the book in the comment section so you can find it. Okay, and that's the Prophet's First book.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We clear on that? So getting your ideas out of your head. Okay.
And on paper.
Yep. So let me give you a quick example. I'm going to divert for a second. Let me give you a quick example. I'm going to talk about me because I'm a guy, and I'm going to talk about you because you're a guy. So women, please don't take offense to this. We're talking about guys. But your wife wants you to move furniture.
Yep.
Right. And the furniture's in the room, and she says to you, "Can we put the couch? The couch is over on that wall."
Mm-hmm.
And then she wants you to move it over to this wall.
Mm-hmm.
You drag it over there, and you're like, "Oh my God, it doesn't fit."
Yep.
Then she says, "Well, let's try it over here." And next thing you know, you've moved the couch 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
Right? So how much energy did it exert you to move that couch?
3 or 4 times worth.
Right? Okay. And you might have needed help, and maybe there's a rug and it's dragging on the rug, and maybe the leg is broken, blah, blah, blah. So there was a lot of energy exerted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wasted.
What if you actually went and got a tape measure,
mm-hmm.
and you measured the couch, and she says, "I want to put it on that wall," and then you walk over to the wall and you measure the wall where she wants to put it, and you say, no can do. Unless you move the wall. Right?
Yeah.
And then she says, "How about over here?" And you go measure that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree or disagree that the second way is easier to do?
Of course.
Okay. So by two-dimensionally writing your goals, in other words, two-dimensionally means the paper and the pencil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you draw it out or sketch it and
mm-hmm.
actually measure, how is it going to fit into your environment, much like putting the koi fish in the pond or the bonsai plant in the right environment so it will grow, okay? Wouldn't it make sense that you would want to do this in your life? Right?
Of course.
So I have a drill, which I wasn't planning on talking about today, but if you take a piece of paper, a regular piece of paper, and turn it landscape, which is sideways, mm-hmm. so that it's longer left to right than top to bottom.
Yeah.
And you draw a line down the middle, and on the left side, you put all the things that you do in the course of a week. Like all the way from dating your wife, to having sex, to going to the grocery store, to taking a crap, to taking a shower, to buying groceries, to going to work, to putting gas in your car, everything you do in the course of a week.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then on the right side of that piece of paper, you write down the things that you want to do.
Mm.
And then what you do is you get a calendar and you start taking those things that you wrote on the left side and you start plugging them into blocks of the calendar. It's called time blocking. If you read Dan Kennedy's book on time management, you'll learn how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the purpose of that is you plug it in. You plug this time in. Okay? So once you two-dimensionally write what your goals are, then you need to go to your schedule and see if they'll fit in there. When can you do it? That's putting it into your environment.
Mm-hmm.
So every Friday night from 3 until 4 o'clock, you're going to work on your real estate. However you do it, but that's fitting it in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's making sure it's conducive for your environment. Okay, we're going to cover that in a little bit more. So number 2. You had a question?
No, I just had an observation that I work on this with my wife because we work on this together sometimes, and we're trying some new things with you to expand more. But what I notice is there's certain things that you have to do in your life just to get by, just to be alive. I call that like zero, just zero.
It's the rudiments.
Yeah, just basic stuff just to live, and you can spend all week just doing that. None of that gets you ahead.
Okay, so this is exactly where I'm speaking to you, Peter.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you have all week to do that,
Mm-hmm.
then what's going to take you?
All week.
But if you only have an hour or two to do it, how long is it going to take you?
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's important that you put it in your calendar, because here's what I didn't talk about, and I can again do the entire podcast on this, and we have done that.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back in the podcast, I didn't look it up, but there are, how to make time for real estate. Here's the amazing thing. When I do my time blocking, what I realized is if I look at my calendar and it's like, I want to go do something, we'll say Monday morning at 10 o'clock, and I have something in my calendar already time blocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say it's do my laundry.
Right.
Okay. And I decide I want to go to the casino with my sister instead. Okay. I look at that time block and I think to myself, okay, when can I do my laundry another time?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't take that block of time and put it, which is my schedule, if I can't put it in another segment or another slot,
Mm-hmm.
that means I have to wait all the way till next Monday to do my laundry again, because there is no time slot to put that other, because it's so full.
Yeah.
That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know that because you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm a little looser with it now than I have been in the past, but in the past I was really strict about it.
Yeah.
Which means there's certain times a day I take phone calls, certain times a day I don't take phone calls. There's certain times a day where I text, and certain times a day I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everything is comfortably. It's the human way that I live. It's not logical. It's just what I like to do and don't like to do. Like, for example, Peter, where do you find me at 6 o'clock on a Friday night?
Smoke shop.
Okay, good. And where do you find me at 9:30 on a Thursday morning?
Right here on the podcast.
Okay, and blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
So there's a time and a place for everything,
Yeah.
including having fun, including taking time off, including spending time with my wife, including spending time with my kids, including seeing my grandson. All that stuff is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. We beat that to death. So it has to start with you putting it on paper first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my point was simply that after you get the ground zero stuff done, if you don't do the other stuff, you're not going to get ahead. So make time for that.
So I disagree with you.
If you don't make time for the other stuff?
I totally disagree with what you
How?
just said. Because we're going to go back to what we were just talking about. Profits first.
Yeah.
What you should do is you should make time for the things that you want to do, just like the expenses, and then you'll figure out if you shorten the time down for the rudiments, those will happen because you'll make them happen. So suppose right now the things you're talking about to like live takes you 10 hours a week, right? Mm-hmm. If you decide that you want to make profits first, like, expenses minus profits,
right,
which is the reason why I brought that up, is so if you decide, okay, so it's this is what I want to do. I want to do real estate first, and all that other stuff is later. Now, instead of doing it in 10 hours, you figure out how to do it in 3 hours.
Okay.
So we should talk about this off the mic, but this is something you run into because you think that those rudiment things are important, have to be done first, and whatever's left over is what you use, which is the old accounting system, sales minus expenses, and whatever's left over. Yeah. It's because you're doing it backwards.
Yeah, it's hard for me.
So what you need to do is you need to do what you want first, and then get clever on how you're going to do the rest. So let's just say you got $100,000 month, right? Or a year, $100,000 a year, right?
So a little more realistic.
Yeah. And you minus your expenses, so if you do it the accounting way, so it's like you have $100,000 in sales, you minus all your expenses and your profits left. Well, what if your expenses are $96,000?
Yeah.
You got $4,000 left.
That sucks.
Where if you actually took $100,000 and when you made the $100,000, you peeled off $20,000 for your profit.
Right.
You will figure out a way to pay your bills for $80,000.
Yeah.
And you may not think that right now, but you must try this because you will get clever. Your mind will figure it out. Your time is the same way. So if you only have so many hours in a week, it's the same way. So if you got 100 hours in a week, instead of saying, when I get all done, I'll have 4 hours left to do real estate, you're doing it backwards. What I'm saying is figure out how to do the real estate 20 hours and the other 80 hours, you figure out how to do the other stuff. It's the priority.
Yeah.
And until you switch that, you're not going to do real estate. Until you, Peter, do that. Cutting the grass and, taking care of the flowers and, taking care of your mom and until you shorten the time up, because it's Parkinson's Law, right? Let me read that again. So Parkinson's Law is... I lost it.
But that's the one where if you have so much time to do something, it'll fill the time.
That's right.
In plain English.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you don't do that, right?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So take the time away, and you'll get clever on how to do those other things, but you'll get everything you want now. Okay, we good?
Yeah.
All right, number 2, which brings us to the next point. All right, your goals have to be stretchingly realistic. Okay, so if you want to look into...
I like those 2 words together.
Yeah.
Stretchingly realistic.
That's right. If you want to look into behavioral science, right, and you have your demand expand into your life, get that? If you want to look into behavioral science and have your demand expand into your life, then this is important. Especially if you decide that the part that you want to do gets done first and everything else has to get figured out last. Just like the profit first, right? Are you with me?
Yeah.
And the expense later, right? So don't say, I want to lose weight. I'm going to use weight as an example. Don't say, I want to lose weight. You may not be, and it's only because a lot of people do that this time of year. You may not be up to the point where you can much control it without drastic behavioral swings. So you say, I want to lose 50 pounds. That's not a stretchingly realistic goal.
It's too stretching.
It's too outrageous.
Yeah.
Okay? So don't focus on what you can't or don't want to control. The human behavioral science of this is don't focus on what you can't or don't want to control. Okay? In this example, don't focus on losing the 50 pounds, which is hard to control, or it's too overwhelming, or you don't want to confront it because it's going to take you out of your natural way of doing things. Okay? Instead, set the goal to lay off the booze or the sugar.
Yeah.
Okay? Or maybe do 5 sit-ups in the morning or at night.
So those are things that you can do, and not the big thing that you can't do.
That's right.
The pieces that are realistically able to do.
Learn to balance your hormones.
It's
right?
true. It's true.
So these are things that are confrontable, because here's what happens. Once you start and do a couple of the little things, your passion will drive you into doing more. Because here's what we do know. Unlike the digits on your scale, you can control these around your normal habits much easier. Right? So in real estate, instead of focusing on making 5 to 6 figures a year and replacing your salary, right? Focus on making 50 phone calls and 5 offers first. Now, maybe in the beginning it takes you 3 months to do that, and then maybe it gets you down to 1 month, and then maybe you get down to 1 week. But concentrate on making 50 phone calls and 5 or 6 offers. Okay. Now, if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/internship, which is sold out at this point, so I don't even know why I'm telling you this internship that I'm doing in January, which starts on January 6, 2020, I'm actually going to show people, which we talked about in the last 2 podcasts, so go back and listen there, where you can start making offers from your desk. I mean, it's like really, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. What I've done is I've taken with some of Joe McCall's information and some other Ron LeGrand and my own information, and I've kind of cultivated it so that it's all around Michael's book, which is Profit First. And what's happened is you're going to do the offers first, right? And then you figure out what to do afterwards. instead of trying to figure out what you do afterwards and then the profit second, like the old accounting system. So I've flipped the whole formula around, and it's so you do the offers first.
It made so much sense in the past that it should be in this sequence, but it wasn't producing enough volume in the way I see it. Mm-hmm. So I said, the hell with it. Let's just throw them out there, right?
Exactly.
It's almost like trying to find, should we fish here? Let's not fish over here. Let's look over there. Maybe there's better fish over there. Let's ask a fish if we should fish here. The hell with it. And we just like throw them out.
Exactly right. So what happens is that's a stretchingly realistic goal, because maybe right now you don't even know who to call.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is you set the goal, I got to make 50 phone calls and make 5 offers.
Mm-hmm.
So how long that takes you is the accelerator to your success.
Yeah.
If you can do that in the next couple days, then you'll have a house in the next couple weeks. If that takes you the next 6 months, then you'll have a house in the next 6 months. But make that goal first. Mm-hmm. So you want to make it stretchingly realistic. You don't want to say, I want to make $100,000 this year. You want to say, I want to figure out how long it takes you to make 50 phone calls to for sale by owners, and how long it takes you to make an offer. Then you can set your goals after that, because you have a good reality of what it's going to take to buy a house.
Right. But those are things you can do, not the ultimate goal that is like some pot at the end of a rainbow. These are the things you can do.
Right.
And if you focus on what you can do, it's much more fun.
Exactly.
Because, I have days I wake up and it's been better lately, but I remember like getting up like, what the hell? I got too much. Oh, hell with it. Let's just do this, do this. Bang, things are done. And then you're finished.
Exactly right. Good. So it's kind of like if you were in a windstorm and there were leaves blown all over.
Mm-hmm.
It looks confusing, right? It's because there's too many things moving.
Yeah.
But if you found one leaf and you made that one leaf the stable leaf,
mm-hmm.
then all the other leaves are moving around that leaf, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to handle because you have one stable thing.
Yeah.
So this is that leaf storm. Real estate is that leaf storm. So the one stable leaf, or the one stable piece of information you have, is make 50 phone calls and make 5 offers.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else will conform to that stable information.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll make it a lot easier and less confusing.
Sure.
Right? Because it's just how it works.
At least you're asking better questions like, well, how do I make 50 phone calls? Who do I call?
Right.
Then you back up from there and you figure, I'll do this.
Exactly.
And you find out, where do I start? Oh, I start here. As long as you know where to start.
More importantly, when you're deciding to buy someone's course or follow someone like me, does it align with your basic purpose? And your basic purpose is, I need to make 50 phone calls and make 5 offers.
Mm.
So your goal is aligned with your purpose. So all your decision making will be revolved around that decision. I need to make 50 phone calls and make 5 offers. Mm-hmm. And then you'll decide, is this course going to help me or is it going to distract me? Right? Mm-hmm. Or is this tool that I'm looking at, or whatever shiny object you're looking at, is it going to help me or distract me?
Mm-hmm.
But because you have your basic purpose in front of you, and you have your basic, like, this is what I'm going to do, that goal
mm-hmm.
is so profound that you can't help but to do it. Good?
Yeah. Well, it's going to pull you forward then.
It's going to pull you forward. Okay? Good. Number 3. And this is the most important. Have a simple system to keep the ball rolling. Okay? So, as we have talked about before, happiness is the overcoming of those sub-goals. Right? So, in this particular case, our goal is to make 50 phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
So, once you make the first phone call, you're going to be like, I accomplished that. I feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
My morale is up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That wasn't so hard.
Somehow I did it.
That wasn't so bad.
I didn't think I could do it.
It's amazing. They didn't do this or they didn't do that like I thought they were going to.
I didn't die.
Exactly. Right? And then you're happy. You're like, you feel like you've accomplished something because
mm-hmm.
you did that sub goal. Then you'll make another phone call. Right? And then another phone call. And mm-hmm. then pretty soon you're like, oh, this is easy. And it will happen the same way with the offers. You'll make one offer and you'll be like, all the things we just said. I didn't die. They didn't shoot me. They didn't kill me. Mm-hmm. My house didn't burn down. Everything is fine. Right? And then you'll want to make another offer. So happiness is overcoming those small achievements.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it gets you headed towards your big goal. And you feel good about yourself because you actually feel like you're accomplishing something.
Yeah.
Because these mini wins, these small accomplishments build morale, and it gets the purpose and the passion. It fuels those cars. It fuels those things, and it just propels you forward. But you have to start with these stretchingly realistic goals first that we were just talking about, right?
Sure.
So what if you did this? Ready?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to rattle here. This is not fair. We're 54 minutes in. I was expecting to be 45 minutes in, so we're 10 minutes behind. So this is where you should get paper and pencil. Mr. Podcast listener, get some paper and pencil. Or pause this episode right now and go get something because I'm going to rattle and you should pay attention. You should pay attention. Did you get that, Peter? What should they do?
Pay attention.
They should get what?
Paper. Pencil.
Something to write with.
Yes.
You could cut your finger and write it in blood and you would be way ahead. Ready? So here's what you're going to do. Because we're talking about, right now, most important, have a simple system to keep it rolling.
Right.
Okay? So number one, go to Zillow or someplace like that and find for sale by owners on that site, which we've talked about, right? In your medium price range of that area. So if you type into Google, like we live in New Haven County, type in New Haven County, Connecticut, medium house price range, you'll find out what it is. Okay. So if the median price range in your area is $160,000, don't go look at $300,000 houses. Don't go look at $50,000 houses. Okay. Stay in the median price range because we're in the pretty house business. Okay. We want to do rent to owns. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So once you find them on Zillow, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the form, not the top, all the way to the bottom of the form, it's going to say who listed the house. That's the person that you're going to want to call. Now, realtors have something connected to them where they have to brag about their company. So it's ABC Realtor, the best realtor in the Northwest, right? If it says that, then get out. But most of the time, it's a for sale by owner. It's a person. So if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, bottom left-hand side, it tells you who listed. That's 99% of the time a cell phone number. Okay. Once you get that number, here's what you do. You text them. You don't call them. You text them. This is huge. We've spent all year testing this. Agreed?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here's what you text them.
Thinking, oh, you shouldn't text them. You should call them. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
All year we've been testing.
It'd be nice to talk to them, but if they don't pick up the phone, they're not going to talk to you. So the hell with it.
Here's what happens, and I noticed it with all of us. If you get a phone call from a phone number you don't recognize, you dump the call to voicemail. Right? So we all do it. Let's just call a spade. We're talking about humans now. We're not talking about logic. We're talking about humans. Right? It's a behavioral, a scientific behavioral thing. Okay? So you text them. Here's what you text them. Hey, I saw your house at 123 Main Street. Is it still for sale? Or say, I saw it on Zillow. Is it still for sale? Something like that.
Yeah.
Hi, I just saw your house on Zillow for sale. I'll do that again. I just saw your house at 123 Main Street on Zillow. Is it still for sale? Text it. Okay? They say yes. They text you back. If they say no, then obviously you leave. Say thank you. But if they say yes, say, are you the owner? Yes, I am. This is what you text next. Would you consider leasing it for a year or two and then sell it? Question mark. That's it. Okay. Now, I have told you in the past to use my script and all this kind of stuff, and all that stuff works really well. Okay. This works better. I'm talking about the shortcut now. I'm talking about doing it simple. Okay. Now, if they say yes, don't mess around. Don't let you get in the way. Pick up the phone and call them. They're a hot prospect for a rent to own.
That's what you're looking for,
right? Get on the phone with them, and you could do one of a couple things. I prefer you do this. I prefer you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. Download the prospect suspect form.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get on the phone, ask the questions. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How much is the mortgage? Fill out that form so you know what to do. Okay? All the information you need to buy a house is on that one document. It will build rapport. You'll know what to say. Even if you just read the questions, as scared as you could be, it still works.
How many bedrooms? Thank you. How many bathrooms?
It still works.
Okay.
Those questions are me talking to your seller.
Yeah.
When you're all done with that, okay, when you're all done with that, here's what you say. Now you're on the phone with them. You say this. Sounds like you really want to sell the house. And it looks like a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure I can actually help you.
Really? Why not?
Only because I don't think you need me.
I don't understand.
Why don't you just list it with a realtor? And you bleed off all of their about realtors. Because they're going to have that. I promise you they're going to have that.
But
because
I love the question.
they're a for sale by owner for a reason. Hello?
They didn't call the realtor.
They either don't have enough equity and they feel like they can't pay the realtor, or they had a bad experience with a realtor. And you're going to get it right at that point. Believe me when I tell you this.
I just love the way it's questioning, though.
So I'll read it again.
Yeah.
So for those people writing it down, and then we're going to move on.
Well, why don't you just list it? How come you're not listing it, though?
Right.
It's just listen to this. Go.
It sounds like you really want to sell this house. And it looks like a great deal. But I'm not sure I can actually help you. Only because I don't think you need me. Why don't you just list it with a realtor? Okay? Now, I got to give credit to where credit's due. This is a Joe McCall. I mean, I've tweaked it some, but this is his saying. Okay? So, thank you, Joe. Okay? Then, once you get all done with that, and they go, and they give you all their stuff, right?
Realtor.
Yeah. Then you hit them with the big question. Okay? What are you going to... Now, these are two questions you do all in one breath. You don't stop and wait for an answer for the first question, right? What are you going to do if you can't sell the house? Are you going to rent it? Now, you find out right away if they're motivated to rent to own or do a lease option. Simple. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. Not hard. Do a few of these a day, and soon you will find yourself doing deals.
Oh, hell yeah. Those questions, that's crazy. I love how you have the two together, because I've heard you say, well, what are you going to do if you don't sell the house? Right. You just wait to see what comes back. If you're in the house standing and sitting with them, you can do that. But on the phone, just go for it.
Right.
Because what we're looking for is a rental. So just ask it.
Right.
If they say something else, we don't care. We just want to know that answer. Will you rent it? And you ask it that way.
Right.
If they say yeah, I mean, wow.
Imagine if you did this with one person a day, a half an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
Just one person a day.
Mm.
How soon would it be before you'd start?
I can't imagine you talking to 5, 10, 12 people and one of them doesn't go ahead with it.
Right. We good?
Yeah. All
right. I'm going to move on. Number 4, you only manage what you measure. And when I mean measure, I mean weekly. And I'm going to give you a little tip here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is a tip that I've never talked about before. There's a website. It's called workable.com. O-R-G-A-B-L-E. Workable.com. It's software for not very much money that can measure statistics for you, and it shows you what to do with the statistics. It actually gives you formulas on if your statistics are up and if they're down. It's a whole organization system for I don't know, $10 a month or something like that. It is amazing.
Workable.
Yeah, workable. Okay. But here, if you want to do it just on graph paper, here's what you should measure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm going to give you 4 statistics. Ready? So you should measure the amount of outflow you do, whether it's texting, calls, letters, whatever it is. Measure it all. So it's a physical piece, right? That would go out. So here's how you do this. Your outflow is only statable. You can only staticize it if it has a call to action. So if you send a text, it should have a question that they should answer. If you send in, if you do calls, it should be, would you consider, like that last question, would you rent to me?
Right.
If it's a letter, it should be, call me at this phone number.
Mm-hmm.
So it should have some sort of a call to action.
Yeah, that way there's something that happens after that you're also going to measure. Otherwise, you got nothing to measure.
Because the next thing you're going to do is you're going to measure offers made.
Yeah.
So you're going to want people coming in. Now you could get a little fancy and count how many leads come in.
Mm.
So you could do outflow and then leads come in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that as much as I should because I don't care. But you could measure, because that'll measure how good your marketing is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You get a ratio between if you have 50 calls out or particles out, and then 2 people contact you back, or 14 people contact you back.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. Then the one that's most important is offers made, right? And then the next one is letters of intent out.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one is accepted offers.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep track of these 4 or 5 statistics, and pretty soon you will have enough marketing, have enough leads, making enough offers, and talking to enough sellers. If you pay attention to these 4 or 5 activities. So your goals should be around these statistics, right? Which are the amount of outflow, which is text, calls, letters, etc., with a call to action in it. The amount of leads in other words, how many people responded. Offers made. Letters of intent written, which, by the way, these days we don't even look at the house. We write a letter of intent and send it to them. And if they say yes, then we go look. Because why do we do that, Peter? Because we're looking at pretty houses.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell on the prospect-suspect form, does a house need any renovations? Oh, yeah, the roof needs to be done. The kitchen is, you can't, you'll find out then. And now if it's a renovation, that's another story.
Right.
If you want to do that,
go
do that. But if it's, no, the house is fine, blah, 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 then it's okay. The numbers could change a little, right? Once you see it, and that's okay. Right. You haven't signed anything. You haven't bought it. Don't get nervous.
That's right.
You always get that, geez, you know what? The way I was, okay, fine.
Perfect.
Right?
Exactly. So, when you measure these, where's your attention going to go?
Where's your attention going to go? Where it should go, or where? I'm not sure.
If you measure these, if you measure the outflow, the leads in, offers made, letters of intent sent, and offers accepted, where's your attention going to go?
Well, the way I use statistics is I would see the whole. I would see if one of those is really low, knowing I got to do more work on the first part. If I'm getting no leads at all, I need to work on before that. Is that what you're headed for? Or what are you thinking?
Well, if you put enough attention on these, this is where your attention is going to go, is on these most important things of your business.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right, because where energies flow, right?
Actions go,
right, and results show.
Okay,
right.
Yeah, I thought you meant more specifically than that, but it is you're just putting your attention.
So remember,
on
I
what
was
you should
talking
be
about
doing.
before the leaves flying around. You're in a windstorm and the leaves are flying around.
Mm-hmm.
These are the stable datums that you should pay attention to.
Yeah,
because even though you're trying to learn real estate and all this kind of stuff, if you don't know how to do the outflow, you're going to fix that. If you don't know how to get inflow, you're going to fix that. If you don't know how to make an offer, you're going to fix that. It's where your attention should go to these 4 or 5 things.
So what would happen if somebody had like the 5 nice big pieces of paper on the bulletin board, maybe nice colors and big lines on it that they could see the statistic when they walk in the room and see like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Or
it's
like,
a roadmap of your business.
Yeah, and you walk in, you look at it, oh crap, it couldn't hurt.
Exactly. Number 5, fitting into your life comfortably. The goals have to fit into your life comfortably. What I have found with so many clients, especially the stuck ones, is texting is the most beneficial way to get deals these days. We use Text Magic. There are others out there. I have a couple of other coaching clients that use them. I prefer they don't because they end up with trouble. Like, for example, I had a coaching client the other day send me a text. He got shut down for spamming. I've never had that trouble. Text Magic is amazing. It's a half a cent per text. If you can't afford that, get out of the business. Okay? But there are a lot of other services out there. We use Text Magic. Okay? So it's half a cent a fee, a text. There's no monthly fees, nothing like that. Now, make it your goal to send 25 texts a day. This is all fitting in with the earlier 4 that I'm talking about. So make it a goal to send 25 texts a day. Now, the way I just told you how to do it would be time consuming. You go on to Zillow, you find it, you text them, right?
Yeah.
But with Text Magic, here's what you do. You can upload a list of as many names as you want from an Excel spreadsheet, right? And send out 25 names at a clip. It literally takes like a minute and a half because you're already going to have your scripts in Text Magic.
Right. You enter those in. Okay. Yeah. They're right there. Like line, chunk by chunk, like sentence by sentence.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I missed something here. So the way we do that is we use a system called Plus Leads or Leads Plus. I think it's $20-something a month, and it gathers for sale by owners. Now there's some scraping tools out there and stuff like that will do Zillow and Craigslist and all that stuff. But for right now, I'm going to show some of that stuff in the internship in January. But for right now, you could literally spend the $20 or $30 a month, go to Leads Plus, and go back as far as you want. You can go back 2 weeks, you can go back a month, you can get whatever county you want, whatever city you want, and get an Excel spreadsheet and upload that to Text Magic. And then in the morning, right after you get dressed, sit on the bed and send a text out of Text Magic because it's right on your phone. Text Magic works. It's got an app and you work it right on your phone. It's no different than texting, except instead of texting one-on-one, you text out one-on-one to many.
Yeah.
So you send out 25 texts. Hey, is the house at 123 Main Street? Which, by the way, it does that automatic for you. Text Magic does that if you hit the right field. If you set up your Excel spreadsheet and the field in Text Magic, which is not hard. This is not hard to do. Text Magic shows you how to do this. You can type in there, is the house at 123 Main Street still for sale? And then when they send it back, you just push on Text Magic the script. You don't have to type these out each time. You just tell it.
Each sentence in the script is there, and depending on the answer come back, you either say, thank you, never mind, or you just send the next thing in sequence.
So you can pre-type these, or you can type in whatever you want, but you can the ones that you would type over and over again, you can pre-type them into Text Magic and just hit the button, and it automatically populates the text.
And what you're not going to believe is, well, you can't have a canned answer to what people say. They're going to say different things, but you know what? A lot of times in a conversation, it has a flow. This should happen, then this should happen, then this should happen. And people sometimes go blah, 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 and it's blah, 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 blah. And if you just say the next sentence, they will answer you.
That's right.
Because they're just like off in la-la land. If they say yes, blah, 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 good, they said yes, send the next thing. And it actually works. We've tried it. And they go, I mean, I do it in conversations. People say blah, 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 blah. I ignore it, and I just ask the next question in the conversation.
Right.
Why get distracted by that?
That's exactly right.
It's real. It's very real.
So now you sit on the bed after you get dressed in the morning, you send out your text, and then you go about your day, and people start answering you. Just be careful because the first half hour you're going to get a lot of response, so you should really be careful. But you don't have to text, you don't have to answer right away. Yeah,
that's the beauty of text, like sending a letter. Did you get the answer yet? No.
Right, exactly.
I have a text going on with somebody. It's been going on since like Monday.
Right.
Every 12 hours there's an answer comes in and out.
Right.
It's okay. It takes a little longer than I like to, but it's you do it.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
That's it. Simple.
And, hey, if they're not interested, who cares? If they're interested, they'll be there.
Then you pick up the phone and you call them. Even if you text them, I'll call you tonight at 7:00.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah, I'm at work. Can I call you later?
Exactly. Totally. Is that simple? Does that fit in your life? Is that humanized? These are the type of goals that a real investor should set for themselves. It doesn't have to be much more complicated than this. Now, there are going to be people that are listening that are probably worried about making offers and all that kind of stuff. So if you are that person, you're all worried about a little bit more of a detail, with the exception of the texting, because I don't have that yet. I'm going to try to get Emma to do that this month. We were supposed to do it in November, and we did. And we're going to actually make a little mini course on how to do the texting with Text Magic.
Okay, good.
We just haven't done that. But if you need help with all the other stuff, you can go to my website at flippinghousesforrookies.com. On the top right-hand side, it says courses. Go to the green one that says how to buy real estate without a loan. Okay? And watch that video, because everything that we just talked about is in there. Now, if you're listening to this podcast number 181 right at this moment, because I don't want to leave you hanging and feel like I'm doing something incorrect, I'm going to actually give you a 25% discount. So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/courses, or just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and go to the top right-hand side and hit courses. You click on the green button that says how to buy real estate without a loan, and then you hit one of the payment portals. On the bottom of the payment portal, it'll say coupon code. If you put in there one word, no spaces, private discount, no capital letters, nothing, just one word, no spaces, private discount. Hit apply. It'll give you a 25% cash off price. It'll tell you the price you're going to pay.
Key.
And you could go get all the information we're talking about. It has, in that course, has all the paperwork, has all the leases, has all the options, has all the documents you need. And honestly, it's pennies on the dollar when you do one deal. I mean, this course, if you did one deal, you'll 10x your money, your investment, because it really is. I mean, especially with the 25% discount, it's like it's what most colleges charge for a textbook. Honestly, is the price of the course.
Yeah.
So you can go get all your training there. I've had multiple people use that course and win big. I mean, we've had that course for a while, and it is definitely our flagship. Okay. Also, the last thing I'd like to finish off with is if you could please go give us some reviews. You could go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. On the top right-hand side, it says proof it works is the testimonial page. We actually have software where you can leave a video right on it. It's raw. It goes, you push a button, you record your video. I listen to the podcast. Hey guys, whatever, you want to give us a message, it goes right to that page. It's a video of you. Or you can do it in writing. You can type it. Or you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and go to the top right-hand side where it says podcast and give us a review on iTunes. I know there's other podcasts. If you listen to other podcasts, I don't see those other podcasts. I prefer it be on iTunes because that's where we rank. Which, by the way, Peter, we have been ranked. If you go into iTunes and type in real estate investing, we've been ranked. There's two podcasts we have. One is for the boot camp, which we recorded and don't do that anymore. And then there's this podcast with 180. This podcast is ranked in if you go into iTunes and type in
educational.
No. You don't have to do anything. If you just type in the search engine, real estate investing, we're number 3.
Number 3.
And the boot camp is number 7.
That's awesome.
I mean, we're ranked pretty good. So if you just go on iTunes and just type in real estate investing, you'll find us. There's other keywords that we use, but that's the main one, real estate investing. And we're right there. So you could go on iTunes and leave us a review there too. But the reviews help. Thank you very much. If you've done a review, I have some spectacular, unbelievable, we have some amazing reviews in there. People that are ranting about what we do. My review, I'm trying to get back up to 5 because in the beginning we did things wrong because we were new to podcasting and we had some not so polite people, 4 or 5 not so polite people, and I just can't seem to get rid of those. I mean, that we had 4 or 5 and we have over 100 reviews, soon to be hundreds review and over 1 million downloads with the podcast. I think we're 1,020,000 downloads at this point, and I just can't seem to get those 4 or 5 people off.
It's like a reflection.
Plate.
I have the same thing. I had somebody give me a review of my other business that I never met.
Yeah,
I mean, never showed up, never talked to him, never met him, and there's a review. Like, are you serious? Yeah. But that's the world we live in. If one person has something happen, now we have to pass a law.
Exactly.
Because one thing happened, 2 things happened.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's show. Irrevocable New Year's goals for losers. Over and out. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.